Howdy, my name is Nolan T. Painter, and in today's video, I'd like to discuss the topic of praying or really wishing or wanting something so badly, right? Like to the extent that where you think like that'll be life changing, and then you achieve that and realize that you're in the moment. But two, you also realize it's not as nice as you would have thought, and it's not as fulfilling as you would have wished. So let's start from the very beginning. In life, you often have moments where you want something that you don't yet have, right? You want a nice car, or even simpler here, you want to do better in school, you want a nicer grade, right? Go from an 80 to an 85% grade. I don't know, go from a 60 to a 61% grade, something small, right? Getting a better grade, not failing a test coming up, having a better human interaction, right? But I'll keep things on the less human aspects so that way you'd understand the point I'm trying to give in this video. So let's say you're really praying, or if you're not religious, you're really wanting and wishing something like getting better on a test or making some money. Now, those aren't very unhealthy things to want. And it's a very good and reasonable thing to pray and really want those desires, right? Nothing's wrong with wanting better grades. It's much better than doing things like wanting to go to parties and wanting to do a bunch of ludicrous activities, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting better grades or to do better in school in this example. But realize that you will reach that moment one day if you work hard. I myself failed a lot of classes, or not classes, a lot of tests. And in a couple of those classes, I was doing really, really bad, like horrible. I was not a good student. But in a matter of 2 years, I completely turned that around, and I was getting 95s. Now, that's nice and all, but it wasn't just 95s. I was given the most prestigious award in my program, which was like a pretty tough program too. I wrote like 26 exams in 20 days. It was a big deal for me. The thing is though, I felt empty afterwards, right? I had spent 2 years trying so hard to stop failing classes, right? I wanted to get 60s and then 70s, and then I wanted to get 80s, and then I wanted to get 90s and then 95s. And then I was pushing for 100% on everything. But once I got the award, which I'm incredibly blessed and I'm incredibly grateful for. Like, you have no idea how, like, honestly appreciative I am of it. But I didn't feel anything. Sure, I was excited in the first few moments, but afterwards I was like, now what? Because I felt so empty and so purposeless after achieving that goal. And I didn't have a purpose anymore. I did it. I didn't fail. I did great. Now I don't have a purpose. And not only did I not have a purpose, but achieving that didn't change anything. Okay, maybe I may be wrong there, because if I didn't do that good, I probably wouldn't be here today. But I wasn't happy afterwards, right? So in life, when you set goals for yourself, or when you pray for things like doing better in school, or just as my example, or in any regard, you need to understand, where will you find your purpose after that? And will it make you happy? And I'm not talking about, just general dopamine rush, or like just getting a boost of serotonin. I'm talking genuine life happiness and fulfillment. Will you feel empty after that, or fulfilled after that? And I didn't feel fulfilled after that. I felt empty. 2 years of work and it felt like nothing. And then something else happened to me. Then someone happened to me. And I realized, well, there's something in life that I can pray for that is more fulfilling. So realize too that there are things out there, usually people, very special people in your life, that you should pray for and you should care for and you should really want to be better relationship-wise with them. Because once you get to that better point, you reap the reward of it. You now are at a better point in your life and you have a better relationship. Because when people are on their deathbed, they don't ask for the grades that they got or the money that they made. They ask for the people that they met and the beautiful relationships that they've had. That's what they want. because is that what gives them purpose, right? You feel nice after, making a check because you're rewarded by something, but does that really make you happy? No. The making money part doesn't make you happy. It's the being able to use the money on things you actually care about, right? The same way of doing all that school stuff for me, it didn't make me happy. I felt empty and depressed. But now being able to use those successes in my life to come out here and challenge myself even more, I guess that's making me happy. But that's just a redirected purpose, right? Me wanting that thing so bad didn't actually fulfill me. So here's the next question. You right now in your life, doesn't matter where you are, right? Doesn't matter if you want this little thing or this big thing. Think about it and think about it hard. Will you be happy and fulfilled once you achieve that thing? And if the answer is yes, then are you sure? But if you say yeah, you're sure and you're totally happy, right? Like this money you want to get or these grades or this girl, if you are totally sure and completely sure that once you achieve that you will be happy, then so be it. That's good. But if you're thinking there going, I'm not sure if what I will achieve will actually bring me happiness and fulfillment, then you got to think about that for a bit. And you know what? Maybe it's not a bad thing to want that anyways, because in life you need to do those things to then learn and appreciate others, right? Now that might be a bit difficult to understand, but if I never pursued my school and never had that moment of realization where I was like, this doesn't really feel like anything, then I wouldn't later appreciate a relationship. I wouldn't be then able to go on and be incredibly appreciative and find that new purpose, right? And that's a purpose that will never die out. That's a purpose that I could technically fulfill it or achieve that prayer, and I would still be content, or not, sorry, not content. I would still be happy and ready to keep on pushing. So in life, you have to find things and really push for dreams that aren't just nice to push for, but that'll actually make you happier in the long run. And that will be beneficial to your health and make you a better man. Because as a man, you're always purpose driven. This is a bit of a discussion for another video, but the idea that women are more detail oriented, where men are more focused on larger aspects of life. If you don't quite understand that, I'd love to talk about it in another video. It's quite interesting. And very true, as I told my friend, and then she disagreed with me and then proceeded to prove me right 10 times. But it's incredibly fascinating as a man to find purpose, and then that purpose actually means something, because too many men find purpose in stuff that are ultimately meaningless. That's why in the religious realm, people often say that there's no purpose greater than God, because you can chase money and you can chase a good grade, but you're not going to feel anything afterwards. But that relationship with someone, being God, that is a purpose that will never dwell, or you'll never dwell on that purpose because you'll never have to concern yourself with it, because it will ultimately be leading your life and you will be happy. And they didn't have to go through horrible experiences to realize that. You'd be surprised how how wise religious individuals are, right? It's really interesting to get into that stuff just because of the wisdom. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but the core principle is that you should be wise to yourself and what you really want in life. Again, there's nothing wrong with wanting better grades that will get you to a better school or making some good money so you can then support your family. But be careful to the pitfalls in those things, because ultimately when you do achieve those goals, you will feel empty and you will not feel complete, right? Think of it on a smaller level, like a big assignment. You just did a big assignment. The average person will say, oh, I'm happy, and then get a bit of a dopamine rush. But someone who really wants that purpose and really deeply desires that purpose will get it done and then feel empty. Because that's not what life's about. Life's about people. And you'll find off of enough of that emptiness that someone will be more fulfilling than any task you could ever perform. And that's what I realized. And I'd love to dedicate myself to that purpose more than anything else. And that's brought me more joy than anything that could ever bring me joy on the entire planet. Because I'm doing all this for that purpose. All this hard work, all of the videos, all of everything is for that purpose. and you will find as a man, there will be no greater joy than having a purpose in someone rather than something. My name is Nolan T. Painter. Thank you for watching.